We are getting our first look at the redacted version of the affidavit connected to the FBI's raid at Mar-a-Lago earlier this month. David Spunt is live at the Justice Department with more.
And this affidavit that was just released is 38 pages long and not nearly as redacted as some thought it may be. There are 38 pages, as I say. It talks a little bit about the introduction and agent background. I'm going through. You can see right here that this explains, and I have not had a chance to look at this because the site was crashing and this just came down, but we can see a little bit about why and I want to read the probable cause section right here. This is the reasoning that the judge signed off on the search warrant. Right here is the probable cause section. It says on February 9th, 2022, the special agent in charge of the Inspector General sent the National Archives a referral email to DOJ, and it specifically talks about some of the communications between the Trump team down at Mar-a-Lago and the National Archives up here in Washington, D.C. Remember, it was in January of 2022, earlier this year, that the Trump team down in Florida returned some 15 boxes of material back to the National Archives after a request. So I'm going to go through this document. I'm going to make some notes. I'll come back when I have a little bit more, but I just kind of want to show everybody that there are pages that are redacted, that have big chunks of redaction, as we expected. The Department of Justice did not want to release this document, but ultimately complied with a court order to do so. And after about 40 minutes of a site crashing, a website crashing because of the demand, here we are.
Let's bring in Martha MacCallum, anchor of The Story.
Hi there. Hi, Kaylee. We're still waiting for this complete document. As David said, it's 38 pages. We got about 14 of the pages early on, which were sort of the background foundation from the Department of Justice in terms of what the United States' interest is in keeping some of this under wraps to protect witnesses, to protect law enforcement, and to protect the ongoing investigation. But the area that David was just looking at, which is the probable cause section of this, is what's going to be of the greatest interest. And as he said, it's not completely redacted, the entire thing, and it goes into a little bit of the back and forth between the National Archives Agency and the Trump team at Mar-a-Lago. So that's where we're going to learn a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to fill in some of the pieces about why they felt it was so necessary to do a raid in the early morning dawn hours of August the 8th, because what we need to substantiate is that there was no other way to get these documents back, that they had tried everything that they could, that they were concerned that they weren't being, that it wasn't being shared to the extent that they needed it in order to have a deeper understanding here. So I know we have Andy McCarthy with us too, and we're all sort of going through this as quickly as we can. So let me toss back to you guys.
Thanks. Let's bring in Andy McCarthy. Andy, I'm going through this now. 38 pages. It looks like there are some significant redactions, but it looks like the pro forma portion is not redacted. Is this what you expected to see, Andy?
Kelly, it pretty much is. I mean, there are things that you knew that they'd be able to reveal. And I did a column yesterday that had a timeline of everything that we know from the time President Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago up until the time of the raid. And there is a lot of information that's already public. So, for example, you know, earlier, I want to say about a week ago, we learned about, maybe it's just a few days ago, we learned about this letter from the National Archivist, from the, from NARA, which laid out a lot of the back and forth between the Trump camp and the National Archives. So there's a lot of information that was already available. And for that reason, there's stuff that they could say here that wouldn't be letting any cats out of the bag because that's already out there. They're obviously not going to confirm things just because the media reported them. But if there's a government document out there, like a National Archives letter, that's already public. So there are things they can reveal without doing the things that they're worried about, which is, as we've all said, giving a roadmap to the investigation, identifying witnesses and the like. That's the thing I think that people are most curious about. And the other thing people are curious about is why this and why now? Why do a search warrant and why at this point? And I'm not sure we're going to get much insight into that.
Martha, over to you.
Thank you very much. Just going through the top of this document and kind of digging into what is in here, and it talks about the government conducting a criminal investigation concerning the improper removal and storage of classified information in unauthorized spaces, as well as the unlawful concealment or removal of government records. And it says the investigation began as a result of a referral from NARA, as we knew, and goes through, as Andy just said, some of the January removal of 15 boxes, but then the need to go back because they felt that that there was still information that was being kept in certain spaces that they wanted to get at, and thus the raid. So we're just kind of getting a look at this. As they said, it's 38 pages. The top section, unredacted. As you get to section 3, you start to see some areas that are redacted. And that sort of lands in the probable cause section, which is not surprising. It says further, this is after a blacked out section, there is probable cause to believe that additional documents that contain classified NDI or that are presidential records subject to record retention currently remain at the premises, which is the phrase that they're using to represent Mar-a-Lago. Who do we have on the line, guys? All right, let's go to David Spunt back at DOJ, also digging through all of this. David, what are you learning?
Well, Martha, we have a portion right here which is interesting because some of this is redacted as expected, so that's not overly surprising. But this gives an idea right here. It says CBS Miami, according to an article from CBS Miami titled "Moving Trucks Spotted at Mar-a-Lago," published Monday, January 18th, 2021. At least 2 moving trucks were observed at the premises on January 18th, 2021, a few days before then President Trump left office. That's not abnormal, but then you have chunks like this that are redacted. So there may be some information in here related to that part of the moving truck. So this is the kind of picture we're getting. We're not getting all of the details here as an affidavit typically has because of the sensitive nature of this affidavit. There's another part I want to read to you that's significant. It says, as I previously indicated to you, and this is from the affiant, the person that swore to the affidavit, Mar-a-Lago does not include a secure location authorized for the storage of classified information. As such, it appears that since the time classified documents were removed from the secure facilities at the White House and moved to Mar-a-Lago on or around January 20th of 21, they've not been handled in an appropriate manner or stored in an appropriate location. Accordingly, we asked the room at Mar-a-Lago where the documents had been stored to be secured, and that all of the boxes were moved from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, along with any items in that room to be preserved in that room until further notice. Martha, the interesting thing about this is we've heard a back and forth for months that the Department of Justice and federal prosecutors and the FBI knew that these documents were in a room at Mar-a-Lago. The actual search did not happen, or raid, whatever you want to call it, did not happen till August. Negotiators from the Department of Justice were down at Mar-a-Lago meeting with President Trump's team, former President Trump's team, back in June. We're told the former president actually popped into that meeting, and they were aware that some of these documents were in this room, in a storage room in the basement of Mar-a-Lago, and that's clearly what this talks about right here, Martha.
Yep. David, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.